Dear members, let me start to say I don't know if it is a confession, but when I was approached by the bishop to do this Bible study, I wanted to say no. But Bishop did not ask. He said, Dean Vilander, you do it. Why I wanted to say no? It is extremely difficult to do a Bible study if we know by now that the Bible study is from is the same as the watchword for the year. And to do the watchword for the year, obviously within parishes, within leagues, different leagues, organizations, you already dealt with this text, no? And I even looked at when Bishop put me on the day after the first Bible study that is also dealing with the same text. And I said, I cannot say no. But okay, I said, let me try. So I will try. So, once I'm going to look at 1 Corinthians 16 verse 14. Let all that you do be done in love. But also, I'm looking at my own sub-theme. Let's build and rebuild in love. Let's build and rebuild in love. But I'm sure that when we look at the background of this text, all of us know it, but it's also very important for me to look at the background of the letter of 1 Corinthians. Because this background is also helping me into the issue of build and rebuild. So, Paul was intimately in love. No, people hear what they want to hear. Paul was intimately in love with the church in Corinth. I hope you understand. Corinth as in Corinth, not Corinth as in a human being. He had led in its establishment and had kept in close touch with it. And now was writing in the face of pressing needs. So the city of Corinth lay on a very narrow strip of a land between Corinthian Gulf and the surrounding Gulf. A very narrow one. So basically when I am emphasizing narrow, is to say basically is two places very close to one another. But not just normal places. It's a drive-through to both of these places. Meaning, there is a lot of people for different reasons at these places. So the ancient city was completely destroyed by the Romans. So the new city was a Roman colony, and its inhabitants were Romans, both veterans and freedmen. Greeks had been slow to return, but by the time of Paul's contact with the city, they were present in large numbers. Commercial prosperity, and remember what I said about these two cities. So commercial prosperity had attracted Orientals in considerable numbers, and the city was truly cosmopolitan. Enough Jews were present to justify a synagogue. So Corinth never became the intellectual center that Athens was, but it had distinguishing characteristics of its own. So just outside the city, the Isthmian Games were conducted every 2 years. Athletes from distant parts were attracted to these games, which were conducted even during the century that the city lays in ruins. So, why this is important is to give you a glimpse of how people are coming to this city for different reasons. The church in Corinth existed in grossly sinful atmosphere, which continued to make its mark on the church. Many of the problems of the church found their basis in the life of the city. Perhaps the most significant of the factors which compromised the atmosphere of Corinth was gross, unashamed immorality. Both the old city and the Roman colony were known far and wide for their sexual looseness. Corinth was the most prosperous city in all of Greece. And as a trading center, it ranked with Ephesus and Antioch. Commerce flowed in every direction, and there were abundant signs of wealth. However, not everyone shared in this wealth. And while there was a great gulf between the rich and the poor, and I think we in South Africa, we understand that part. There's also in our environment that contrast. So the church in Corinth reflected the population of the city. There were contrasts in its social and its financial standings. Paul indicates in Romans 16 verse 23, written from Corinth, that his house was Gaius, probably a man of some wealth. The same verse indicates that Erastus was the city treasurer. Some of the church members were engaging in litigation and attending private banquets, a situation which indicates that they were men of means. On the other hand, although there were some members who possessed both money and position, the majority of the believers came from the lower social class. And you can even find that in 1 Corinthians 1, verse 1, 26 and following verses. So Paul's ministry in Corinth was fruitful and extended. He remained in Corinth longer than he had previously in any other city, a year and a half. Now that is the way the interesting part is coming in for me. Looking at Corinth, looking at the social ills. But Paul loved this place. And he even stayed longer in this place. 1 Corinthians is primarily about love. And I believe we know that love is a very broader term. You get different types of love. You get different type of love. I'm not going to deal with those type of love. But the point is, this one is primarily about love. That is why reading the letter as Paul attempts to establish authority over the church misses the point. Love is not the same thing as control. Nor is love the same as discipline. Control is power over others, or even on behalf of others. That is control. The structure of Corinthians reflects Paul's strategy of replacing this place of social status with love. Paul ridicules power as it is normally interpreted and claims real power is Christ crucified. In this season, 1 Corinthians 16 verse 14 of his ministry, Paul was raising funds for the Christian Jews living in Jerusalem. They were suffering through persecution for their faith in Christ, as well as extreme poverty. So Paul was collecting donations from many of the Gentile churches he helped to establish, including the church in Corinth. So Paul was not raising donations for himself, but he raised donations to help others. Paul also did not raise donations so that his name must be heard and that people know it is Paul, it's about him. No, it was indeed about helping others. This phrase of 1 Corinthians 16 verse 14 comes from Paul's final instructions to the Corinthians in his first epistle to them. Paul had frequently emphasized these teachings to the Corinthians so that they would recognize to let love be their most important intention. Let all you do be done in love. This reflects the profound teachings of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, in which Paul demonstrated how love is superior to the exercise of any spiritual gift. Better the exercise of any spiritual gift is meaningless without love. Paul now insists that every single word or action should be motivated by the definition of love he provided in 1 Corinthians 13, reading from verse 4 to 7. Many of the issues in the Corinthian church that Paul has confronted in this letter would have been quickly resolved if everyone was motivated by that kind of sincere love for each other. And I want you to listen to this part. Many of the issues in the Corinthians church that Paul has confronted in this letter would have been quickly resolved if everyone was motivated by that kind of sincere love for each other. And I want us to think about our challenges within Central Diocese, our love towards one another, our behavior towards each other. So why is it important to do everything you do in love? Why is it important? Because it does not help. We continue to say, whatever you do, let's do it in love. It means at the end of the day, we do it like we do the Lord's Prayer. We do the Lord's Prayer because it is there. So we cannot just do things because someone said we must do it. We need to understand. So Jesus preached that to love God and others are the greatest command. The call to live a life marked by love is a consistent message found throughout scriptures. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. Love is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. You know, when I say it does not keep record of wrongs, sometimes I'm asking my wife, do you really love me? Then she asks me, but why do I ask her that question? Then I say, you know, sometimes you can bring something up that happened 25 years ago. So it's like she's keeping record of what I did wrong in the past. So love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. Love never fails. Remember what I asked. Why is it important to do everything in love? This description of love helps make sense of Paul's instruction to do everything in love. The Apostle Paul wrote this letter to the church of Corinth. Corinth was a Greek city under the Roman power. So when Paul wrote this letter after he had already established the church in Corinth, he wrote because the church community was struggling. And this letter served as both encouragement to them in their faith and correction of their theological misunderstandings. So, dear brothers and sisters, members of the Synod, all these explanations and descriptions sounds good and well. But how will it assist us in our situation when we look at it? You know, Central Diocese reminds me of the city of Corinth. There were always influxes of people into the boundaries of the Central Diocese for various reasons, for work-related issues, to see if we can find a better life for ourselves. Central Diocese, compared to all the other dioceses in Elsa, you will find that we have members from SED, from Northern Diocese, Cape Orange Diocese as I'm speaking, Western Diocese, Botswana Diocese, you mentioned, name it. All the members are coming into Central Diocese, or at least into the boundaries of Central Diocese. And when we are flocking into, let me rather now say Gauteng, we also find ourselves in the same, or at least some of the social ills that transpired during the time of Paul in Corinthians. Hence I say, somehow it reminds me of the city of Corinth. Obviously, there will be different challenges. Central Diocese also has its own unique challenges. We are facing social challenges. We are facing financial challenges. We are facing challenges in the church. If I can look at what transpired during the course of this year, during the time of elections, I am reflecting on our church when the constitution was changed, and suddenly everyone in their own mindset, they have this issue of, I'm having power. Like within the church, we are power driven, and no more driven by the love that is reflecting in this verse, that whatever we do, we need to do it in love. We face challenges of competition because I want to be better than the other one. I don't want to listen. And sometimes when we face these challenges, I'm looking at our own downstairs. Sometimes we know and we see the challenges, but we rather opt to close our eyes and look the other way. Sometimes we are implicated. But because it is Vilander, I'm not touching it. Because it is Vilander. And then we ask ourselves, why is things going so much the wrong way within our diocese? Why is it so difficult to try and sort the issues within our diocese? So the question remains, how can this love help us to build and rebuild our beloved diocese? For me, if I look at Paul, it was not easy for Paul. But still the love that he had for the Corinth made him not to give up, but to continue. You know, I'm looking also at this love issue. And it reminds me about William Gladstone in announcing the death of Princess Alice to the House of Commons. And he was telling a very touching story. The doctors told the princess not to kiss her little daughter because this daughter was sick and endanger her life by breathing the child's breath. So the doctor was, this princess was told not to kiss the daughter. So once, when the child was struggling to breathe, the mother, forgetting herself entirely, took the little one into her arms to keep her from choking to death. And while the mother was struggling, this little daughter said to the mother, "Please kiss me." Without thinking of herself, the mother tenderly kissed her daughter. This mother got ill, and some days thereafter, she went to be forever with the Lord. For me, it captured that love. That moment that mother forgot about herself, but that love that she had for her child took over, even if she had to die. But she didn't care. I'm saying this because if we love Central Diocese, if we love our church, I am not saying we need to look the other way for the wrong things, but I'm saying let's face this challenge. I'm saying whatever challenge we have, because I love this diocese, because so many times I pick up in our church. I don't want to speak about the secular world. We are so conformed with a certain style. In fact, if I can quickly just jump into the secular world, without sounding like a politician, because I am not. But I'm looking from a layman's point of view at our current ministers. And in the past, the ministers needed to look at a certain style, put on their blazers at a certain style. But suddenly I realized there's one minister who's just doing things his way. He's always in a tracksuit. Huh? No, we're not speaking about race here. I'm speaking about the minister. I'm saying, because I realized when he was, what is this word? He needed to, like myself, needed to close his blazer and he couldn't. But the point that I wanted to make, he is just doing things the unconventional way. But things are happening. So I'm trying to say to us, sometimes, what is the right word, Reverend Tetwa, Sipo? Adiaphora. Sometimes, there are things that will not take us to heaven, and nor will it take us to hell. But if it helps our situation, Let's do it. Because we do it out of love. And not start saying it is against the Constitution. I'm not saying we need to define the Constitution. I'm trying to say the Constitution is also giving us some guidelines. If we understand this concept of love, then it will be easy. Then whatever we do, we will be successful. If we understand this concept. Because I also picked up within our church, we are taking things so personal that even if we want to be corrected or someone correct us, we think that person don't like me. How I grew up, I've learned that if someone correct me, that person loves me. Because that person don't want me to continue to do the wrong thing. We will be able to take this diocese to the next level. We will be able. There are several ways how we can build this diocese. I mean, I'm looking at you. Wherever you are working, whether you are a manager or not, but I'm sure you want to make the best out of it, wherever you are. I'm sure you want to be on top of your company. Now the same vision and dream that you are having, this is your house, this is your church. Let's love this church and see what difference we can make to build this diocese. I want to conclude to say, I'm one of the persons that there is this thing that members, because if I ask you how many members is originally from Central Diocese, in the boundaries of Central Diocese, I'm sure we are a few there. Because many of us are from different dioceses. Now what I don't like, and I think I need to disclaim this, is that we keep on saying, my diocese is so successful, as if this is not your diocese. So it is good for the diocese to be successful. But what can we learn from the diocese without putting this diocese down? It means, in my own layman's term, you love that diocese more than you love this diocese. I think that's why we continue to have this, what do you call this thing, Bishop? Double membership. Dual membership. Whereby people are forgetting. By taking a letter from your pastor that side coming here, it will even make your life easier. Because when you go back, you just go back with a letter. But also our members, and let me finish, but our members have the tendency when they come, they're even playing games. When they go back, they say to the pastor, no, they are attending church here. But then they never attend church here. Dear members, let me conclude to say, let's take each other's hands and move forward. This is our time. This is our time. I met an American just after Barack Obama was elected the President of America. And I said, my statement to him was, you guys must be very happy that you are elected the first black President of America. And he said to me, it's not about him being black. It's about what legacy will he leave behind. It does not matter what race he is, but what legacy will he leave behind? And that is my question to you, or to all of us. When it comes, as we are in the beginning of our term, when we come to the end of our term, what will the members of Central Diocese say about us?
what will we leave behind?